Happy Friday, Illiana community. We're back.
We are back.
2 weeks off. We're back at it. And you may even get a hint right off the bat here what our topic is today.
It's a fun one.
It is a fun one. Probably the worst kept secret in Illiana Christian history.
Maybe.
But we're going to lay it out here today. But first, what are we eating?
We're eating sourdough.
We're eating sourdough now.
I had mentioned this before, and I wanted to bring it. I ended up, forgetting a couple of weeks ago. But
is that when you were in your convict outfit?
It was. It was when I was in Orange Convict, and this is it's a rosemary and garlic sourdough. I made it a couple days ago, so I hope you like it.
And just butter on top?
A little bit of butter.
Okay.
That's really all you need.
All right. And why rosemary? Where did this come from?
I don't know. I felt like it was a good combo. You get a little bit of the...
That's good. Tastes the garlic and the rosemary.
The garlic brings in the savory, and then you get a little bit of the woodsy rosemary in there.
A little bit of a tree. It's good. So what got you into making sourdough?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just saw some people making bread, and I'm like, I'll try that too.
It's the healthy bread.
This is healthy bread. It's fun.
It's good stuff. It goes with our football conversation.
It does.
So do you have a trivia question?
I do. Since we're going to talk about football, I thought it'd be interesting to have a football-related question. We started a football team this year.
We did.
Our girls' flag football team.
Yes, they did well.
And there is someone close to me who has the privilege of being the first person to ever announce touchdown Illiana in an official capacity. I was wondering if you knew who that person was.
Close to you?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be your wife?
It's not. Too close.
Bonnie Trepton.
Bonnie Trepton.
Bonnie Trepton, athletic secretary,
Yes.
First person to say touchdown.
Touchdown Illiana Christian. She was able to do it over a mic the first time when we hosted a girls' flag football game here, which was a lot of fun.
Yep.
So she has the honor of always having that distinction.
And hopefully to be able to say that a lot more times.
I hope so, too.
Especially over Chicago Christian.
That's right.
We had a flag football event here, too, in the fall, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had about 6 teams that came here. We had, a huge turnout of middle schoolers that we invited. I can't remember what the total number was. I want to say we had around 60 or 70 kids. Had a lot of parents involved as well. Volunteers, and it was a great night. They had jerseys, hats that we were able to give away, and they just came here and just had a fun night playing flag football.
So are you officially saying right now on this day that we are starting a football program here?
I'm saying it.
I love it.
We're starting football, Lance.
Let's do it. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I was an athletic director for 14 years here, and I think I got the question probably 30 times a year.
I was thinking of that this morning, too, because I can almost remember every year, constantly, people would ask,
Yep.
Hey, are you going to start football?
Mm-hmm.
When are you starting football? And going back to the old campus, there's always reasons why we can't.
Yep.
Right?
There's no place to play.
No place to play. It's facilities. It's, we're looking at enrollment and where it was there, and then we move out here, and it's like we got a lot of stuff going on. So there's always been reasons why not to. But, you and I have talked about this for a long time and try to lay out some markers as to what would be a good time to start, and we feel like this is the time.
So why is the time now?
Well, I think a few things. One, we have the facilities to be able to do it.
Yep.
We do have a campus that's able to hold this type of field equipment. Later we'll talk about, storage and things like that. We have a booming enrollment. That we know that, could support a program, but also continue to hold the programs that we have in place. And that was an important thing for me, too, is not to deplete the other programs that we do have in the fall.
Yep.
And now having the enrollment able to support all those things, I think this program not only will, be a blessing in the fall, but also help out, our other sports in the winter and in the spring.
That'd be awesome, man. I'm getting excited. I mean, I wore my Bears jersey Did have a fun question from our executive producer, Dan Blum. He said, who's going to be more successful first, the Illiana Christian football program or the Bears?
Well,
Not to throw shade on the Bears.
both have a long way to go.
Right.
Both have a lot of building.
Correct.
I'm excited to see both go because I'm a huge Bears fan,
Me too.
and I'm going to be the biggest Illiana Christian football fan that you
I
got.
think I could pull 5 of our kids to be a better offensive line, but that's
You
just
might
me.
be. Yeah, you might be.
A couple things I hear about football, and I know I've heard these questions, but I know people have them. How do you address people say football's dangerous?
Yeah.
Why would you start such a sport that could get kids hurt?
Yeah, well, looking at football, which it's a contact sport.
Mhm.
There's going to be contact. There's going to be injury. It's just part of the sport, and in a way, it's part of every sport.
Yep.
There's assumed risk when you play any sport that we have. I think what a lot of people don't know too is we have sports where you might not think that there's a high rate of injury involved that fly underneath the radar, but we have sports that are pretty dangerous just because they have a high risk of injury. I mean,
Soccer is one of those.
soccer, cheer, is another one where you're
Mhm.
throwing people in the air. Soccer's had a long history of it as well. So I'm not trying to make it say that football is going to be injury free.
Mhm.
Like it is a contact sport.
Yep.
And there is part of that, but the other part of I think how the sport has grown in the last decade, especially, is just ways to deal with injury in a better way. There's a lot of technology that's been out there when it comes to keeping head injury away from it, of recognizing symptoms and other things a little bit better.
Mhm.
So there you go.
You look at these things. These things, we got a couple of these just for fun. I want to show the other kind of example of one we got. These things are heavy. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of padding in there. They've come a long way. And there are some studies out there that show the injuries are better than what they used to be because, one, you're teaching kids to play the right way. You're teaching
Right.
kids to tackle better.
Yep.
But yeah, like any sport, there's risk
Yeah.
to it. But we try to do a little bit to minimize,
Yeah.
obviously,
For
that.
sure.
I've also heard football's expensive. So how are we going to make this happen?
I feel like it's a question for you, right? there is expense. I mean,
Yep.
there is there's of course uniforms, but there's equipment, there's pads, there's helmets, there's practice equipment that's very unique to the sport. There are a lot of expenses involved. This is actually a lot of the discussion you and I have had over not just this past year, but years. About what point would we need to get at where we would be able to have this funded so that the boys would have what they need in order to be successful.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a lot that we need to do to make it happen. It's one of those things that once it starts, football funds itself
Mm-hmm.
pretty regularly for all the Friday night lights and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But one of the big news we have is we will be installing a turf field here starting in the spring.
That's right.
And that has been completely funded.
Yep.
And that should be ready for the fall for soccer.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it because the way in Indiana has it, where you have boys and girls soccer in the same season and football, that's a strain on facilities.
For sure.
The turf field will make that a whole lot easier to
Yeah.
function.
You need to, because even with soccer, you could have just one day where you have a little bit of rain or things get a little bit soft, or you go through a dry patch and
Yep.
all of a sudden you got a cow pasture you're paying on the rest of the year. So yeah, this will be a field that not only is going to look beautiful, a field that the kids can be proud of, but it's going to be a perfect playing surface and it's going to be weatherproof.
Yeah, we're blessed to have it. I mean, it's so generous of some people to put that together, and we're excited about it. We obviously need a better weight room.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
right
we
about the
kinda
size of
did.
this room.
Yeah, we kind of did.
So there's some plans that are part of the master plan that we've had from the beginning here to bump out a little bit of the back to add some weight room facilities, not only for football but for all sports, and
Right.
for PE.
Yeah.
You see it, the PE classes down there. They're trying to do classes in our weight room the size of this room. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and I've been pretty pleased with how a lot of our students have made do with what we have, but weight training being such a huge part of building a football program, and building a lot of programs, but especially football.
Yep.
We're going to have a facility that's going to be outstanding.
Mhm.
It's going to be one that can fit a team in there, teams,
Yep.
and something that our students could take a lot of pride in.
Yep. So we got to get a little bit of a better weight facility. We need to get some
Mhm.
storage. We need to get some locker rooms outside. All part of the plan that
Yep.
we're going to lay out there. Everyone says, and we don't have experience with this because we've never had football in our
Mhm.
80-year history, that football can change a culture.
Yeah.
How do we make sure we do that in the right way?
I think the first thing is just making sure that you have a clear vision as to what you want the program to be. I think culture is first determined and driven by leadership.
Mhm.
So that is a vision that's set by myself, with you as well,
Mhm.
but also with the person that we hire.
Yep.
That's you take any sport and any program, and culture is going to be determined and led by the leadership that's in place. So it's important that we find the right person to lead the program.
Absolutely. People ask me all the time sometimes why start football now?
Mm,
And one, because it's fun. I
yeah.
laugh with people sometimes. It's like we're not inventing, like we're not going to the moon.
No,
This is something that almost every other high
no.
school in America has. But I love community building. I love anytime people gather,
Yep.
and football could be a great time when people gather here on campus. But I also, one of my biggest ones is what it can do for some of our young men,
Yeah.
giving them purpose, getting them involved. I've talked with Mark Hamstra, and he's now the superintendent over at Chicago Christian.
Hmm.
Played football, went to college playing football, and said he'd love to come on this podcast. I didn't want to replace you,
Yeah.
and say
Interesting.
what a difference it makes for people and for the guys and the men to give them a purpose and to
Mhm.
make them part of something and to build that leadership with the right people in charge. And that's an exciting thing. I think we can provide one more avenue at Illiana for someone to get involved.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that's maybe the primary reason why I love sports in the first place.
Yep.
It's about what it can do to young men and women.
Yep.
It's been. I had a meeting last night with coaches, and we talked about just how, our sport is just our avenue to teach Jesus
Yep.
to kids, and how to make them future better leaders, better spouses, better parents. And I think football can definitely be a major part of that for some of our young men.
And we're still going to be promoting and building the girls football flag program too.
100%.
Awesome. So when is this going to happen? I mean, do we have a time? I know this is a little bit of a flexible timeline, a little
Yeah.
bit, because it is facility dependent.
Yeah.
But when will we see and it'll probably start with a JV
Mm-hmm.
schedule at first, because
Yeah.
you got to prepare and you got to get some feeder programs going. But
Sure. I mean, by the time you scheduling a varsity season, you need at least probably 3 years to build a schedule.
Mhm.
So you would need a couple of years of that. You need a couple of years of a JV program where you have a lot of kids that are going to be learning to play for the first time.
Yep.
You're also going to be putting together ways to impact our middle schoolers too, so that there's training and practice for them. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen in a few years. But one of the first things that we need to do is we're going to be identifying a leader for the program. And we've been doing a little bit of networking with that as well.
Absolutely.
Being able to identify people we feel like would be great for it. And then after that, it's about finding the guy, and then getting the kids together, and then see what we can put together.
So the big question:
Mm.
when do we play Chicago Christian?
Ooh. You have to talk to your buddy Mark about that one.
Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be amazing.
Yes. Is our new conference? So many people know this. A year from now, not next year, but the following year, we join the NCC.
Yep.
Are they excited about the possibility of us doing this?
They are excited.
Okay.
And they've been talking to us about that for a while. But us joining the NCC, it was never contingent on
Mhm.
whether we started football. They always knew it was a possibility. I love the fact that they wanted us in there anyway.
Yep.
And they're excited about it too. But that's another reason why we want to make sure we have a couple of years to be able to put together a solid team, because once we start playing varsity games, you got some great schools you're going to play against.
Correct.
So it should be fun, but you got to be ready to go.
That's awesome. Any last parting shots for everybody on football? I mean, we'll talk about this a lot more. We're just
Yeah.
doing the announcement here,
Yep.
and getting excited to start rolling it out publicly.
Yeah, I just say, just get ready to have a ton of fun. It is if you've never been to a high school football game, it's a wonderful community event. I think it's going to be amazing for our kids, and I'm excited to get it going.
Awesome. So you heard it here. Hopefully we get a lot more
Hmm.
touchdown Illianas
That's right.
coming up pretty soon. So for Darren and I, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.